There is a quiet moment in a woman's life when she realizes that it wasn't loving too much that hurt her, but loving too soon, before she could clearly see who was in front of her. Emotionally intelligent women understand that involvement doesn't begin when the heart races or when the chemistry seems promising, but when awareness awakens and begins to carefully observe what is being shown, not just what is being said. They've already learned that pretty words, intense presence at the beginning, and calculated gestures can create the illusion of connection, but they don't sustain a real bond when there's no emotional coherence. Therefore, instead of simply asking themselves, "What am I feeling for him?" these women ask a more mature and protective question. What is he consistently showing me about himself over time? For an emotionally intelligent woman, observation is neither coldness nor disinterest. It's self-respect. It's understanding that feelings can arise quickly, but character reveals itself slowly. They observe the rhythm, the posture, the way he reacts to boundaries, silences, and small frustrations, because they know that it's in these details that the truth emerges. And it is precisely this conscious pause that prevents them from getting involved in stories that start intensely but end confusing, exhausting, and emotionally unbalanced. Not because they are afraid to love, but because they have learned that healthy love begins with clarity, not urgency. If at any point in your life you felt you got involved before you had all the emotional information in front of you, this video is for you. If this kind of reflection resonates with your current situation, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. This helps this content reach more women who are also learning to make more conscious, mature, and less painful choices. Consistency between words and actions. Emotionally intelligent women have learned, often through pain, that words are easy to offer when there's no emotional responsibility involved. They've heard beautiful promises, well-constructed speeches, and declarations that seemed mature, but which didn't hold up when time demanded consistency. Therefore, before getting involved, they observe something essential. Whether what the man says is repeatedly confirmed by his actions, they understand that intention is not commitment, and that talking about the future, connection, or feelings does not, in itself, mean being emotionally available. What really matters is the consistency between words and behavior over time, especially when there is no audience, when there is no achievement at stake, and when maintaining the right attitude requires real effort. An emotionally intelligent woman observes whether interest persists even when it's inconvenient, whether care appears unsolicited, and whether respect remains even when she's not trying to please. She quickly perceives when words are used as tools to accelerate intimacy, create expectation, or generate attachment without a solid foundation behind them. And the more emotionally mature she becomes, the less she negotiates with inconsistency, not because she becomes rigid or distrustful, but because she comes to understand that emotional truth is not revealed in initial enthusiasm, but rather in the silent repetition of gestures. Consistent attitudes don't need to be announced, they simply happen. Therefore, before getting involved, this woman doesn't cling to what was promised, but to what was experienced. She observes if there is continuity, if there is alignment, and if there is real presence, because she knows that healthy relationships are not built on inspiring speeches, but on predictable, respectful, and emotionally responsible behaviors. How he reacts when he has no control. Emotionally intelligent women know that a man's true character isn't revealed when everything is going his way, when he feels admired, desired, or in control. It's revealed primarily when something goes wrong, when a limit, frustration, or unexpected rejection arises. It's in these moments that emotional maturity appears, or the lack thereof becomes evident. Before getting involved, this woman carefully observes how he reacts when he hears no. She notices if he respects her decision without trying to negotiate, pressure her, or turn the situation into an emotional game. She sees if he can accept boundaries without interpreting them as rejection, and if he maintains the same level of respect when she isn't available in the way he would like. Because an emotionally secured man doesn't need to control the situation to feel valued in a relationship. She also observes whether subtle but revealing reactions arise, such as irony, abrupt mood swings, punitive silences, or veiled attempts to blame. These behaviors, although often normalized, indicate difficulty in dealing with frustration and a need for emotional control over the other person. And emotionally intelligent women do not minimize these signs, even when there is attraction, affinity, or an initial connection. Furthermore, they pay attention to how he deals with frustrations external to the relationship, how he reacts to mistakes, setbacks, criticism, or situations that demand emotional responsibility. Whether he acknowledges his limitations or shifts blame, whether he engages in mature dialogue or withdraws, becomes agitated, or avoids the relationship. Because someone who doesn't know how to regulate their own emotions will hardly be able to sustain a stable and secure long-term relationship. Over time, this woman learns that true respect isn't proven in romantic moments or when everything is going well, but in a man's ability to remain upright, calm, and respectful when contradicted. And that's why she observes before getting involved, not to judge, control, or test, but to protect herself from relationships where intensity is mistaken for love and emotional instability is mistaken for passion. The rhythm he imposes on the bond. Emotionally intelligent women understand that the pace of a relationship says a lot about the emotional maturity of the person on the other side. They know that true connection doesn't need to be rushed, forced, or artificially intensified to feel real. Therefore, before getting involved, they observe whether the man respects the natural timing of things or tries to create emotional urgency from the start. They notice when he pushes for intimacy, demands quick definitions, or tries to anticipate a level of connection that hasn't yet been built on shared experiences, trust, and consistency. They know that emotional haste is rarely about love. Most of the time, it's about neediness, insecurity, or a need for validation. And mature women don't confuse intensity with depth. An emotionally intelligent woman observes whether the man is comfortable with pauses, silences, and the natural boundaries of the process, whether he respects when she needs space, time, or reflection, whether he understands that healthy involvement grows with consistency, not anxiety, because those who try to accelerate the bond are usually not prepared to sustain it when reality begins to set in. She also observes whether the imposed pace fosters balance or strain, whether the relationship flows smoothly or quickly becomes demanding, confusing, and emotionally exhausting. Relationships that start too fast often demand too much too soon. And this is something mature women learn too. Avoid after experiences where they gave too much of themselves before feeling secure. Over time, this woman learns that the right pace isn't the fastest, but the most respectful. It's the one that allows her to observe behaviors, reactions, values, and boundaries without unnecessary pressure. She understands that those who truly want to build something solid don't fear time, because they know that time doesn't erase what is true. It only reveals what isn't. Therefore, before getting involved, she observes not to delay love, but to ensure that when it arrives, it comes with stability, presence, and emotional maturity, and not with urgency, confusion, or fear of losing. The space he creates for female individuality. Emotionally intelligent women understand that a healthy relationship doesn't require a woman to diminish herself to fit into it. On the contrary, it needs to create space for her to continue being who she is, with her interests, her rhythms, her silences, and her personal projects. Therefore, before getting involved, they observe whether the man respects female individuality or if, subtly, he begins to take over everything. They notice when a man feels comfortable with her autonomy, and when he reacts with discomfort, excessive jealousy, or a constant need for attention. They observe whether he values her presence as a compliment and not as a way to fill emotional voids. Because when a relationship begins to demand that the woman is always available, always explaining, always justifying, something is already out of balance. An emotionally intelligent woman understands that healthy interest doesn't invade, control, or compete with her identity. She observes whether the man respects the time she dedicates to herself, her projects, her friendships, and even her silence. Because whoever sees the woman as an individual and not as an extension of themselves doesn't feel threatened by female autonomy. She also notices when a man reacts badly to her emotional independence, trying to minimize her achievements, devalue her interests, or create a subtle dependency. These signs, although often normalized, indicate a difficulty in dealing with a whole woman. And mature women don't give up on themselves to maintain a connection. Over time, this woman learns that love is not about fusion, but about conscious presence. A healthy bond doesn't require her to shrink, but to expand safely. Therefore, before getting involved, she observes whether the man contributes to her growth or if, little by little, he begins to limit who she can be. She knows that genuine relationships don't compete with a woman's individuality. They strengthen her. And that's why emotionally intelligent women choose men who know how to walk alongside them, not those who try to take over everything. Observing is an act of emotionally intelligent women don't observe because they are cold, calculating, or unavailable for love. They observe because they have learned, often through difficult experiences, that getting involved without emotional clarity is costly. For them, observing is not distrust. It's care. It's respect for their own history, their own emotions, and their own time. As these women mature, they understand that they don't need to rush to prove their worth, nor hurry to secure a place in someone's life. They know that those who are emotionally available don't get lost over time, aren't afraid of limits, and don't demand commitment before deserving access. What is true endures. What is unstable reveals itself. Paying attention to the right signs before getting involved allows a woman to choose more consciously and with less pain. It allows her to perceive if there is consistency, respect, emotional balance, and space to be who she is. And, most importantly, it allows her to distance herself early from relationships that would require her to diminish herself, adapt too much, or over-explain herself in order to be accepted. This kind of attitude doesn't push love away. On the contrary, it filters it. It filters out confusing, overly intense, rushed, or emotionally unbalanced relationships, and it opens up space for calmer, more secure bonds that are more aligned with the woman she has become. If you recognize yourself in any of these signs, perhaps it's not that you're being difficult, cold, or too demanding. Perhaps you're simply more aware, and awareness is a sign of emotional maturity, not close-mindedness. If this video helped you reflect, please like and subscribe to the channel. This signals to YouTube that this type of content is important and helps reach more women who are also learning to choose with more clarity, self-respect, and serenity. And if you'd like, share in the comments if any of these signs have made a difference in your life, or if, in the past, the lack of them taught you something important.